A chair slides backward and rotates on its own, deliberate, covering a foot or two towards completely. Then a shadow moves across the room, but there's no one in the room. Track of it. Others aren't convinced and point to the possibility of a wired shadow side. Unbroken line across the whole, then turns the light. That cross upside down. Not gradually, not with any buildup, just instantly inverted with a heavy thud. And then the salt line, the one Jorge spent time carefully laying down, disappeared, creating a clear gap in the footage, the rocking chair.
What's up, everybody?
On its own. Slow,
say hi, Internet.
with the doll still sitting in it.
Hello.
A lot of viewers in the comments believe Jorge made a critical mistake. Not in using the salt, but in announcing
The wife is watching some scary stuff, and I'm playing some scary stuff.
And giving it time to respond. Whether the activity that followed was provoked or had already been to this point, seems to believe the salt didn't stop anything. It only made it worse. Now, if something in that room was willing to scatter a protective barrier and flip across in the same night, the real question isn't whether the salt worked. It's what Jorge does next. The following video is about Nate, someone many viewers already recognize for the strange and often unsettling activity that seems to follow him wherever he goes. Over time, people began pointing something out to him. Whatever it is, too much attention, and that constantly reacting to it could actually be making things worse. So he decided to try something different. He started ignoring it. No reaction, no engagement, just going about his day like nothing was there. But that didn't last long because one morning, this happened. Watch. People tell me to ignore things, so... I have things going on in here and in the bathroom right now. Some upstairs above me at the same time. But, I'll just ignore it. And not as simple as people think. Unless people experience these things, then not as easy as just ignoring it when this shit happens to you. I don't work on it. Once again, you can hear faint whispers in the background, unclear but definitely there. And what makes it even more upsetting unsettling is that just seconds before he started recording, the cabinet where the cup falls from was completely closed. Moments like this are why many believe that attention plays a role in these situations. Some say that reacting to activity can strengthen whatever is causing it, almost like feeding it energy. But others argue the opposite, that ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just makes it find other, more effective ways to be noticed. And for Nate, it doesn't stop at home, because as much as he deals with this inside his house, his workplace isn't any different. Watch this.
I don't really see anything out of place or kind of. Everything looks up. I could feel that. I could feel that. Did I offend you by saying good morning?
I'll be right back. I get some.
You take this?
My stomach can handle it.
I hope so.
All right. I take back the good morning now. All right. I take back the morning now. Now, the knocking on the wall started once again. You're right.
Fucking sucks.
Damn right. I mean, every wall.
I've been puking my guts out.
Like, inside, because when it did it on this wall, this, and the chains were totally swaying. So that tells me.
Cemetery?
Cemetery? No.
Straight out there.
Oh my god, it is a cemetery. Why does it keep flashing knock, knock, knock? I don't hear anything.
Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real. Shit.
Wish I could understand where it is.
Get to work! At least it's not like a trinity.
Something can be heard banging against the walls of the garage over and over again.
Cemetery where he
Not
works.
random noises, but heavy, deliberate impacts, like something trying to get his attention from the other side. Some believe this could be tied to the environment itself. Cemeteries are often associated with residual energy, places where emotions, grief, and history linger. Others think it could be something more direct, something that may have attached itself to Nate, following him between locations. And then there's one of the strangest things he's come across at work. Watch.
Yeah, this morning, just one. No other one. Just one single claw print or weird handprint. Fingers super long.
It's like a bear.
Alright, sorry guys, I'm back.
On the floor, there's a deep claw-like mark. Just one, as if something appeared, dragged across the surface once, and vanished. Some viewers even claim to hear whispers toward the end of the clip, though no one could clearly make out what was being said. So what could leave a mark like that? This one remains unsolved. In this next video, a father shares an experience that completely changed the way he sees his own home. For some time, there had been small things he couldn't fully explain. Moments where he thought he heard movement late at night, or faint sounds coming from parts of the house that should have been empty. Nothing too obvious, just enough to make him think, but not enough to convince himself something was wrong. Until one night, he suddenly woke up to the sound of his son crying. Not a soft whimper, but the kind of crying that makes you get up immediately. Without thinking twice, he rushed out of his room to check on him. But something didn't feel right, so he decided to check the camera. Watch closely. You can hear it clearly. A child crying, but then something else happens. A figure moves past, and for a brief moment, it looks like the shape of a child. Yet, something about it feels off. The movement isn't natural, the timing doesn't match the crying, and the presence itself feels separate from the sound. And this is where things start to get really disturbing. Because when he finally checked on his son was fine. Not crying, not awake, just sleeping, which raises a terrifying possibility. Some viewers believe this could be a case of something imitating familiar sounds to draw attention, possibly to lure someone out of the room. It's a theory often mentioned in cases where voices or cries are heard, but don't match any real person in the house. Others think it could be a shadow figure manifesting briefly, using sound and movement together to make its presence known. But whatever it was, it knew exactly what would get its attention.
On findings being published in a new book out today on the Shroud of Turin. That's the linen cloth believed to bear Jesus' imprint.
How much do you reckon this rare prototype Boba Fett action figure cost? Go on, have a guess. $500? $1,000? $10,000? Try $1.34 million US.
Wow!
And that's far from the most expensive piece of Star Wars memorabilia ever sold. So strap in and get ready, because we're gonna...
Wendy's went back to the kitchen to give our famous spicy chicken sandwich a total upgrade. More crunch, more flavor, and you can get it.
to the experts at PSA to be examined, authenticated, graded on a 10-point scale, and protected for safekeeping.
To count down the 11 most expensive items of Star Wars movie memorabilia ever to go under the hammer. Let's start at the beginning. It's 1976 in London, and there's been a call out for extras in a space movie being shot at Elstree Studios. It's hard to imagine what must have been going through the minds of the extras playing the stormtroopers at the time, but I'm pretty sure that this guy had absolutely no idea that the uncomfortable plastic suit he was wearing would one day sell for what?
Well, more well than you can imagine.
The iconic Stormtrooper outfit is based on the design of Star Wars concept artist Ralph McQuarrie and realized by costume designer John Mollo, who won an Oscar for his efforts. This costume wound up in the collection of acclaimed model maker and artist Greg Jean, who died in 2022, with his entire collection of over 500 items going up for auction. Here's TV showrunner and die-hard collector David Mandel, host of the YouTube channel The Stuff Dreams Are Made Of, getting a look at the Stormtrooper before it hit the auction block.
It's fucking incredible. And the white parts are so white compared to, forget about the one I have, compared to the ones in the Lucas archive. The belt, boots, the holster, the condition, the straps, it's all so good.
The suit was authenticated by experts who painstakingly screen-matched every scratch and blaster burn, confirming that this was in fact the complete armor adorned by this Stormtrooper in the original movie's opening scenes. And being the most complete and best conditioned Stormtrooper outfit known to exist from that first film, it fetched a blast door opening sum of $645,000 US, placing it at number 11 in our list of most expensive Star Wars items. And by the way, this isn't the only item from Greg Jean's collection that will appear on this list. Now let's move on to this guy, Chewbacca, everyone's favorite Wookiee.
Somebody get a big walk the carpet out of my way.
And for the diehards, it's impossible to think of Chewie without thinking of this. Chewbacca's bowcaster, part bow, part blaster, and one of the coolest weapons in the galaxy. It was made from a Horton Magnum crossbow, manufactured in Wales. The Elstree Studios prop department hot-rodded it with scopes, plates, and greeblies. By the way, a greebly is a small random detail or part added to props and models to make them look more complex and futuristic. And amazingly, it's a one-of-a-kind artifact. No other bowcasters were made for the original trilogy. This is the bowcaster. Here's Brandon Allinger of Auction House Prop Store talking with YouTuber and Star Wars content creator Carly King about the bowcaster as it was being prepared to hit the auction block.
Is this the only one that makes sense?
As far as we know, and as far as all evidence suggests, meaning any photo where you can see it well, you can match up some scratches, some marks, some tells to say it's this one. No one's ever seen another one. There's no other out there that is known to exist that's genuine. So as far as we know, this is the one and only that Peter Mayhew used in all three Star Wars films.
It went up for auction in March 2025, and bidders didn't hold back.
Those guys must really be desperate.
The bowcaster exceeded all expectations, going for a fur-raising $768,600 US. Not bad for a weapon we only actually see fired twice in the entire original Star Wars trilogy. Here and here. That's it. But it didn't stop the Wookiee weapon becoming the 10th most expensive Star Wars item ever sold. And now, he's the first character you see and hear in the original Star Wars film. You probably had the action figure. Maybe you ate the breakfast cereal. But imagine owning the actual head of C-3PO. And not just any head. This head, the one used in the 1977 film. One of the most recognizable faces in cinema history was based on Ralph McQuarrie's concept art, itself inspired by the Maria robot in Metropolis, and brought to life by sculptor Liz Moore, who created a clay bust of C-3PO actor Anthony Daniels' face before the final mark.
How do we get in?
Technically, Moore was killed in a car accident shortly before filming
do
began
it.
on A New Hope. She never lived to see how iconic the creation became. In November 2023, Anthony Daniels
totally startled me just then.
His personal Star Wars memorabilia. The crown jewel of his collection is this screen-matched A New Hope C-3PO head, a piece he'd guarded since the day the original film wrapped half a century ago.
Most particularly is the head that I wore when 3PO fell off the mountain, a sound person. And so The art department put
Oh,
a sign
I've seen
in the
him.
head going,
He's a new
"Raise on the
transfer
screen,
student.
there."
Really?
Went under the hammer in November 2023, earning
Anyway, I'm
annually
leaving. See
stunning
ya.
gold busting $838,750 US, making it the
I'm
ninth most
Sung-Ah Kim,
expensive Star
homeroom
Wars
8.
item ever sold. And after putting that money somewhere, you understand why Anthony Daniels returned to the auction world to sell off yet another original trilogy C-3PO head that he just happened to have lying around. This one from his performance in Return of the Jedi,
This was out of the
specifically
blue.
the Endor sequence. Here's a
But it's
clip
nice to
from
meet
Adam
you.
Sandler's YouTube
So,
channel,
why did you come to school
where
at
he
this
gets a
hour?
close-up preview of the 3PO head ahead of the auction.
Hit the little button at the back here and see if
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's gorgeous.
and those are the original bulbs in there, so we don't run them
Yeah?
for too long.
Amazing they still work more than
I'm
4
glad that
years
you're here.
later. It sold
You
for a
are going
daisy
to help me
impersonating
out.
$843,750 US.
Wonderful.
Just edging the price of the A New Hope head it sold a few months earlier, making it the 8th most expensive Star Wars item ever. Alright, now let's talk about this. Han Solo's blaster. Yes, this is it. The original blaster from the original movie. You know, the one where Han shot first. It's built from a Mauser C96 semi-automatic pistol, modified by the Elstree props department with a scope, muzzle, and other greeblies. After the film's release, vintage gun collectors reported a spike in demand for the Mauser, driven by fans and cosplayers wanting to build their own replicas. The blaster hit the block in 2022 and was odds on to fetch up to $500,000. Bidding shot up faster than the bringing the customer, more than doubling its top estimate to become the first Star Wars drop across the $1 million threshold. It sold for a cantina clearing $1,057,500, making it not only the blaster that shot first, then second, then more or less the same time, then this, but also the 7th most expensive Star Wars item ever sold at auction. Now, I think owning any Darth Vader helmet would be cool, but imagine owning the one that was used in the filming of The Empire Strikes Back. Designed by Ralph McQuarrie and sculpted into reality by Brian Muir at Elstree, the Darth Vader mask stands as one of the most iconic creations in cinema history. After filming on Empire Wrapped,
Look,
the fiberglass Darth
don't be
Vader
a
mask
jerk
and
about
helmet
it.
left the set
Come
after
on.
the private scenes, where it remained for 40 years, finally re-emerging in September 2019 and hitting the auction block.
The catalog estimate
Ji-Hyun and I
is
didn't know what we were going to do.
$250,000 to
Goodness, a guy like you should.
$450,000. And, you know, you never know what something will go for it until it crosses the block. And it could well exceed that.
And exceed estimates it most certainly did, fetching a Sith-sized $1,152,000 US. Impressive. Making it the 6th most expensive Star Wars item ever sold. Okay.
Welcome. First time in the girls' bathroom?
We knew our last Verbo was going to be incredible. We didn't know the hot tub was broken. But Verbo had our back and moved us. Better place, better hot tub.
Got any room for Dad?
Teenagers are full of
Why?
Verbo is not.
Worried I want something weird? I left my book in the home ec room. I can't get in because it's locked. I happen to know that the keys are in the auto shop classroom, but it's locked as well. But you can crawl through that vent up there and get me the keys. You want me to do it myself? Please, pretty please, with lots of sugar on top. Shh. You're really not going to help? We'll need a ladder, and we'll also need some sort of cutting tool. Why don't you look around?
President stuff. That's all about. Why do you make to it all? Stop the things. We can stop the chemical too.
The arena is killing. But all machines can be broken. Bill Wall said,
If you disobey me, we shall open the bloodbath. It's the longest, most drawn-out death you people have ever seen. May the odds be.
Okay, now this one's a little different. It's the only item we're going to see in this list that isn't a prop, costume, or model from one of the films. It's an action figure, but not just any action figure. It's a prototype that never hit the shelves, becoming the rarest and most sought-after Star Wars figure ever. You see, in 1978, Kenner designed a Boba Fett figure with a spring-loaded rocket that actually launched from its jetpack. The figure was intended to be sold by mail order to eager fans awaiting the hugely anticipated sequel to A New Hope. This is the J-slot model, named after the shape of the slot in the back of the figure where the missile-firing latch was housed. But after a tragic incident where a child choked on a missile from a different toy line, Kenner scrapped the rocket-firing feature amid safety concerns. The manufacturers were instructed to destroy all of the prototypes that were made, but not all of them were. One savvy Kenner engineer took this one home and kept it in storage, and there it remains with its original mailing box and paperwork, untouched for 40 years. Meanwhile, the appeal of Boba Fett, a side character with barely 3 lines in the entire original trilogy, became a cult figure in the Star Wars galaxy, and the legend of the rocket-launching Boba Fett prototype grew, with stories of the figure's existence becoming almost mythical. So when this mint-condition J-slot prototype 1979 Boba Fett figure was revealed in August 2024 and put on the auction block, it was this amount.
It's worth a lot to me.
With bidding opening at $200,000 US, 25 bids were placed, with the figure finally going for a brain disintegrating $1.342 million US. The buyer has chosen to stay anonymous. But whoever they are, they now own the most expensive vintage toy in history, and the 5th most expensive Star Wars item ever sold. Now, when the casual Star Wars fan thinks of Star Wars spaceships, they probably think of the Millennium Falcon, the Star Destroyers, X-Wings, TIE Fighters, but Y-Wings? Blink and you'll miss them. But that hasn't stopped Gold Bleeder's Y-Wing, used in the climax of battle scene in A New Hope, becoming one of the most expensive Star Wars items ever sold. Based on Ralph McQuarrie's concept paintings and built by Industrial Light and Magic in California, only a handful of these highly detailed Y-Wing creatures, and even fewer have surfaced on the open market. Here's our old friend David Mandel getting a close-up and personal preview of the miniature before the auction.
What the? This is incredible. This is Gold Leader. Yeah, the detail on this is unmatched. The detail is gorgeous. And I'm just pointing very carefully. The guns, the circuitry, the model pieces, the armor. I'd like to own this. I'm not quite sure it will happen, but boy, I would like to own this. This is insane.
The Y-Wing stayed on target for a trench-running $1.55 million US, making it the 4th most expensive Star Wars item ever sold. There's a lot of R2-D2s out there. You can find schematics online that explain how to build one in precise detail, and clubs around the world devoted to helping you achieve that noble goal. Most are assembled from homemade parts, lovingly and painstakingly pieced together. And then there's this one, assembled from screen-used components that appeared across 5 Star Wars movies. It's basically a Frankendroid, a saga-spanning mashup of real R2 parts, pieces we've all seen on screen. jewel is the aluminium dome made for Kenny Baker on A New Hope, the only one known to exist in private hands. The legs come from Empire Strikes Back models, and other body parts come from episodes 1 and 2. When the Astromech hit the auction block in June 2017, it was the most authentic RG unit ever to hit the market. And when the hammer fell, an anonymous bidder took it home for a grease-gobbling $2.76 million, making it the third most expensive Star Wars item ever sold. For years, model shop veterans swapped the same rumour. Somewhere out there, one of the original Hero X-Wing miniatures, New Hope, had gone missing. It wasn't in the Lucasfilm archives, and it never popped up in the usual collector circles. And then,
If you look around
after
the
the death
school,
of
you'll
acclaimed
be able to
visual
find the
effects
things you
artist Greg
need.
Jean in 2022, a few friends began sorting through his vast collection. And sitting on a shelf in his
I saw a
garage,
ladder by the auto
that
shop
beat-up,
earlier.
unlabelled cardboard box. And you know what was in the box. A 20-inch X-Wing, the kind used by ILM, used for close-ups in the Death Star battle. Photos and paint maps were compared against ILM reference stills, panel lines, weathering, and the layout of the Greeblies. It all matched, and a consensus formed. This was the long-talked-about screen-used Hero miniature, just one of 4 known Hero models that were built for the close-up show. When it was put up for auction in late 2023, it was billed as the pinnacle of Star
Don't you
Wars
think we'll need
artifacts
something
that
like
ever
wire
reached the
cutters to
market.
cut the middle
And bidders
screen?
didn't mess around. Within minutes, the hammer fell to the tune of an exhaust port penetrating $3.135 million. And who was the lucky guy who had to go home and tell his wife that he'd just spent $3 million on a Model X-Wing? This guy, David Mandel. The first string of
I was going to ask, were the locks the same when you got home? Did that? Yeah.
I got home and nothing was on the front lawn.
What are you doing?
Thinking that
Didn't
I
you
would
find
not
it
be able
yet?
to say no to her, my wife, on anything.
Yes.
Her carte blanche, she'll just hold up the bidder note anytime. Do we want to go for the premium window or whatever? And she'll just hold up. Yeah.
And that leaves just one more item. And here it is, the most expensive Star Wars object ever sold. The original copy, Empire Strikes Back,
What the fuck?
Seriously, the genius of these guys that come up with ideas like this. And this particular hilt was the primary dueling prop used by actor David Prowse and stunt double Bob Anderson during the lightsaber fight scenes in Empire and Jedi. Yes, that means it was in Vader's hand during this scene, the coolest scene in the coolest movie ever made. And probably the most iconic movie weapon in cinema history. Let's go back to Star Wars YouTuber Carly King, who managed to get her hands on it shortly before.
I can't even. This is.
Speechless.
I'm speechless. I can't even begin to process holding this.
The Sith Lord Saber hit the block on December 4, 2025, and commanded a final bid of a hand dismembering $3.654 million, making it the most expensive piece of Star Wars history ever sold.
Darth Vader's lightsaber from the original Star Wars trilogy sold for, what would you guess? $3.6 million, which breaks the record as the most expensive piece of memorabilia from the franchise ever to be sold at auction. $3.6 million.
$3,654,000. Does it still work?
So what can we learn from all of this? The Star Wars memorabilia market is only just heating up, with items fetching 7-figure sums, even some of the more obscure pieces. It's clear the force is strong in the world of vintage collectibles. And unsurprisingly, it's the original trilogy bringing in the biggest sales, with more memorabilia originating from those first 3 films. No prequels or sequels here. And while George Lucas was the visionary who set all of this in motion, just as much credit belongs to the prop builders at Elstree Studios in London, the model making and effects business at ILM. And I guess, wow, some people really do have a lot of money to burn. Sometimes I think I'm just It's amazing how things just turn up in a crumpled box on a shelf, winding up being sold for a fortune.
Like the time when a guy in rural England was clearing out his parents' attic, only to find a guitar that turned out to belong to one of the greatest songwriters who ever lived. He sold it for $3 million. One of the most expensive guitars ever sold. I made a video about all the other most expensive guitars ever sold at auction. If you like this video and you're interested in guitars and rock history, you'll probably like that one. Go check it out. I'll see you there.
I saw that my PR got approved, but the test failure, and I have become so lazy. Like the moment I'm like, oh, I gotta go into my skills type, go to the test well, and PR is like, yeah. So I can just click into the skills tab, and I can feel like skills type. Okay, sick. Someone has like already figured it out for me. So I was like, okay. I ran it to command the token, and now fix my PR, and I'm so lazy now. And I didn't want to go to get the check on the PR merge, so I'm like, yo, is this merge? And then I would have archived it last night, but I didn't take it down because I figured I might want to show you guys this.
That must mean the game is foul, like real rotten. I know nothing about Earthbound. Japan. First was Mother Famicom, then Mother 2 on Super Famicom, which became Earthbound in the US. Then Mother 3 for the Game Boy Advance, and then Mother based on psychological horror film starring Jennifer Lawrence. So Earthbound must have been so bad, we didn't even get the other games. Well, what do people have to say? Let's find out. How bad is Earthbound? Oh, okay, it's just one of the greatest RPGs of all time, that's all. One of the top Super Nintendo games? And of course, when Nintendo rounded up all their most iconic characters.
Not bad. Thanks a lot.
From Earthbound. And that doesn't even sum up Earthbound's legacy. This game has a whole community. It's worshipped. If God had a favorite game, it might be Earthbound. Everybody and their grandma talks about it. Earthbound.
Nobody likes an unchivalrous man.
Mother series. Motherfucking shit.
Oh,
well,
but did you know? This school used to be a hospital during the Korean War. Rumor has it the whole school is haunted because so many people died here during that time. Maybe the rumor's true. I mean, especially on a night like this.
Well, luckily it's been released on the virtual consoles for the Wii U and 3DS. And
I guess you don't like ghost stories, huh?
Super Nintendo Classic with several built-in games. But this thing probably isn't that much
The doors are
easier to
probably
get.
all locked by now.
I usually play the
They
original
lock
cartridge,
all the doors after
but this
10.
time, for the
Except for the lecture
I'll
hall
make it
lobby, that
special.
is.
So the game
If you
centers
want to
around
leave,
young
we have to
As
go
I
into the
mentioned
lecture
already,
hall.
his name is Ness.
You know the new
or whatever you
building,
wanna
lecture
name
hall,
it,
and
since
here
it's an
are
RPG.
connected, right?
He's eventually joined by Paula, Jeff, and Pooh. That's right, Pooh. Your goal
This
is
is the
simply
key
to
to that
collect
hallway
8
there.
sacred melodies to
Could you
save the
open it
world
on your
from
way out?
Gygus, who is one of the most intangible villains I've ever come
I
across,
still have something
since
to
it's
do.
never really explained exactly what Gygus is. It's more like a vague that hovers over the world. Unlike most fancy RPGs, it has a contemporary setting. You'll see drugstores, burger shops, stop signs, and vehicles that all resemble real life. This is kind of a breath of fresh air. As much as we love the far-out fantasy stuff, it's cool to see something we can sort of relate to. Even the first enemies you fight are common animals. At first, I didn't find the battle system to be very appealing. You can't see yourself. You can only see the enemy. Compare this to Final Fantasy III, Chrono Trigger, or Super Mario RPG. That's how I prefer my RPG battles. I want some kind of visual representation of the hero characters. If I wanted to read through the whole fight, I'd get out a pen and paper and play some D&D or something. Also, a common complaint I have with all RPGs is I really wish you could see the enemy hit points. When I inflict damage on them, those numbers mean nothing to me. Is he almost dead? Should I be keeping track? How about a damn counter? But after a while, I got used to it, because I had to, right? It's what you do more than half the game. But then, I started to really like it. Hearing that slashing sound to make a successful strike on an enemy, it's so satisfying. Please mention the fight mechanics without talking about the rolling input counter and the real.
Alright, I'm gonna end the stream here. Have a good night, guys.
Subtracted immediately. Why does this matter? Well, let's say if an enemy inflicts mortal damage on you, you have the chance to heal that character before he is zero. This can get real tense because when you see those numbers,